So the week after Kobe Bryant passed away, like that first week after, I became kind of enamored with revisiting the early 2000s Lakers. I obviously knew about the team. I had seen the team at the time, but I really wanted to go back and kind of revisit. And I know I'm not the only one. This is something that happens when a celebrity, especially an athlete, dies. You go to YouTube and you go down that rabbit hole and you start watching stuff that they did. And I was watching interviews with Kobe and Shaq during, not during those days, but about those days. And some of these interviews I had seen a long time ago, but when I was younger, and some of them I had never seen before. And what really struck me, what really kind of hit me about these two athletes and how dominant the Lakers were in the early 2000s is, well, there's a few things, but one of the things that really stuck out to me was the fact that Kobe and Shaq, both of them, and not just them, but several other top level athletes like Michael Jordan, a lot of these guys, Kareem, they all had this sort of presence about them, this sort of confident swag about them. Some would call it arrogance, but what good is it to call somebody arrogant who's a winner? Like if you sit there and say, well, he's too arrogant. Well, they're really not, because they're champions. They're world champions. In many ways, it's like they kind of earned that right to be arrogant. And the thing that stuck out to me is that Shaq told a story. I'm going to get back to the arrogance thing in a minute. Shaq told the story where he said that when he first went to the Lakers, the year before they played against the Bulls, and they got swept by the Bulls, and Michael Jordan was on the Bulls, and Michael Jordan told Shaq, he said, before you can become a winner, you have to lose, right? And that really kind of resonates with me because there's truth to that. There's obviously people in the world who have good breaks. Some would say luck, but I know there's more to it than that. And life gives everybody a break at one point. They have better conditions than the rest of us. Maybe they're born to a rich family. But most people have to come up from nothing. Most people, and there's been studies done on this, most people actually attain greatness on their own hard work. And sometimes when they attain this greatness, they do become arrogant. But what really stuck to me was this whole idea that you have to learn to lose before you can become a winner. So you had this Lakers team with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal from like 96 to 99. They were just getting swept and destroyed. They would do well, but they would never make it to the finals. They would never play in the finals. They were just a good team, but not a great team. Then you had the 3 years of dominance. And there's various factors to that. But, one of them, of course, being Coach Phil Jackson. But the thing that kind of struck with me is that, it's true. You have to lose before you win. And losing is a very humbling experience. Losing is the opposite of being arrogant because it humbles you. And the thing about losing is that it hits your ego. That's really what the main problem with losing is, that it bruises your ego because you worked hard to get to a certain spot and then you don't go all the way with it and you feel like you could have done better. You felt the brass ring right there and you just didn't get it. And it hurts. But the great ones, the truly great ones, they use that as fuel. They use that to motivate themselves to come back next year or next month or whatever. And we're not just talking about athletics here, but I'm using this as an example. They come back stronger and stronger and stronger to the point where they become so strong that they win. Same thing happens in Dragon Ball. Same thing happened in Star Wars with Luke Skywalker. He loses to Vader. He came back stronger in the third film, Return of the Jedi. And that is pretty inspiring. Since I first kind of started doing this, like within the first couple of years, and even to this day, there were people who said that, well, Geekdom 101 is egotistical and arrogant. And it's interesting because the only people who ever said this about me are people on the internet, goofballs, people who I've never spoken to in my life, goofy, stupid trolls and losers, because I've never heard that from anybody who I either respect or anybody who knows me. And they're not all my friends either, as far as people who I know. People who know me either in real life or have actually had conversations with me, not a single one, not a single one has ever said that I'm egotistical or arrogant, because I'm not. Like, the real me is not egotistical and arrogant. What I am is I'm very confident when I am sure of something. See what I'm saying? When I'm sure of something, I am very confident in the way that I speak. I am very defensive. That's a different topic. If you've been watching these speakdoms, you know why. But I am not an egomaniac, not even the slightest. But that's the only thing they can really use against me. They have no other ammunition. They can't say that my knowledge is not good. They can. They look stupid. They can't say the editing is not good, even though some of the editing is not good. I do the best I can when I can. But I'm not the best editor. I'm not even the best YouTuber. I would never claim that I am. And I've never really been arrogant. But after watching the Kobe Bryant and Shaq interview, I kind of feel better about it, because I'm not an egomaniac, but I am someone who is proud of their accomplishments. I do have pride in my accomplishments. That's a fact. Because of the fact that I literally went from being homeless to owning a home. And that, to me, should be celebrated. That right there is not something that people should look at and say he's an egomaniac. No, I worked hard to get to where I'm at, and I got dragged through the mud to get to where I'm at. I've been trying to get on and be like an online entertainer since 2008. It took years, took a decade to where I can finally do this, and get paid for it. And work so hard to get here too. Something I actually love to do. And it's just funny because you hear this shit from people who, again, have never spoken to me. Not a single person ever who knows me has said that. So at that point, what you have to do is just shut them out, because they don't matter. It's obviously envy. They'll deny it up and down, but that's obviously what it is. Now, I say that to say this. This is not about me. It's true. What Michael Jordan told Shaq is true. You have to lose, because when you feel the agony of defeat, the thrill of victory is just that much more sweeter. It just feels that much better. You feel that much more accomplished, that you went through this pain. It's the hero's journey, so to speak. And there's different levels of it. Athletics, scholastically, financially, even with, relationships. You go through these relationships, right? And you get dumped, or you break up with the girl or whatever, until you meet the right one. And it hurts. I mean, you're going through pain because the breakups hurt, right? Or you get rejected. You might get rejected by 100 women. 100 women. Excuse me. But if 100 rejections means you end up with the one that you really want, then the journey to get there is worth it. So what it comes down to is, at some point in your life, you have to say, enough is enough. You have to say, I'm tired of losing. I'm going to become a winner. And you do that by training. And whether it be training your body, training your mind, if you're a musician, training your fingers, training your eyes, training your ears, whatever you have to train, practice, all these things to become better and better and better at what you do, whatever that may be. And watching these athletes talk, these high-level, successful athletes, is very inspirational for me. And I find it funny how when Kobe Bryant passed away, 99.9% of the people were not talking about how he was an egomaniac, or how him and Shaq could have had 10 rings, but, they couldn't get along. I mean, that is a part of their story, but it's not one that is really discussed that much. It was really about the fact that he was a wonderful father. Yeah, he had some controversial stuff in the past, but it was mostly about how he was a great father and one of the greatest all-time athletes in history. He was remembered for being great, not for being confident at his greatness, because he was an arrogant guy. But when you work as hard as Kobe Bryant did, and you have that much basketball IQ, you gotta have a little bit of confidence, man. So there's nothing wrong with that. So when you eventually, if you're out there listening, When you eventually do make it and you succeed in whatever goal you're trying to succeed in, there's nothing wrong with being prideful of that because you worked for it. You went through feces, right? You went through pain, sacrifice. You went through these things to ultimately achieve your goals and hopes and dreams. And that should be celebrated. And we all celebrate that as human beings. The only time that that's not celebrated is from people who are envious, who are going to try to bring you down. And you have to shut them out. They're going to try to bring you down. They're going to say whatever bullshit they want about you. They'll make up shit. They'll invent stories. They'll judge you even though they've never spoken to you before based on a tweet or two or a video or whatever, or an interview in Shaq and Kobe's case. They don't know you. And ultimately, who the fuck cares if somebody's arrogant or not? Does it really hurt you so badly that somebody's proud of their work? Does that really bother your little dick that much? Because when I look at, because all I know is this, all that shit talk about Shaq and him being overly defensive and sensitive, you wouldn't say that shit to the guy's face. Of course not. None of them would. And it's like one of those things where it doesn't matter at the end because these guys are successful. You know what I mean? They're prime athletes. And that is a reflection of society. Like, I feel like if you make it, you don't, I mean, I'm not saying you have to be an arrogant prick. There is a difference here. Don't be a prick. But have some confidence in your work ethic. That's really what it is. Have some confidence in your work ethic. And at some point in your life, if you feel like you're not where you want to be right now, you gotta say enough is enough and either double or triple the work you're gonna do, or figure out a way to make it. Figure out a way to accomplish that goal and then move on to the next goal. But sometimes you have to lose before you become a winner. And actually, it's better that you do because then it feels better and it makes you work harder. If you get handed something, you're not going to work as hard for it as if you worked for it and if you lost at it. So just remember that. And remember that I believe in you. And I genuinely do. Because I've said it time and time again. Every human being on earth has something special about them, but you have to figure out what that is. And every human being on earth has something that contributes to society in a positive way. Talking shit on Facebook or having little groups and shit or little fucking, oh, look at this, look at Kobe Bryant, it's a waste of time. And those people are going to amount to nothing. They will amount to nothing but shit talk. But if you put your head down and grind, good things will come. And if they don't, something good will come to you eventually, because what you put out in the world, the hard work, it's never in vain. I hope that this meant something to you. Thank you.